What's up, everyone? It's Vish from the Sixth Rings Canes Show, 5 Reasons Canes Network. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, watch our shows on YouTube, and I'm going to give you 5 on this Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to everyone, to all our workers out there. I'm going to give you 5 on that Canes Gators game from Saturday. Hopefully everyone took a good recovery on Sunday. It was a big celebration on Saturday. The first takeaway from that game for me is just the attitude the Canes came out and played with. A lot of concern coming into the game about the environment, about, it's tough to win on the road, first game jitters, and I don't think any of those concerns existed within the team. Just from the opening snap all the way to the end, just physically dominant. They didn't want to win by a touchdown. They wanted to win ended up winning by a lot more than that, 24 points. So I think they came out with that attitude, and that's how good teams play. And I think it's been a while since you can count us amongst those top teams in the country, but you could see just the attitude there. They weren't going to lose that game. It wasn't even going to be close, and they came out with that intent right away and just dominated. And that, when we talk about program building, we talk about, okay, how do you get to that next level of winning consistently? It's you're not in these close games. You don't screw around. You don't leave Georgia Tech in the game to therefore screw up the end of clock situation. That just doesn't happen. And today, or Saturday, I should say, the Canes that game was over in the second quarter. You could argue that game was over on the first offensive drive when it was still 0-0, and Kim were jogged for 15 yards, and it's just like, all right, this is happening here. That attitude is what ultimately set the team off on the right path that allowed them to dominate and win that game comfortably. Number 2, just kind of piggybacking on that, the physicality. The defensive front, the offensive front, the running backs finishing runs. Every time there was a collision, the Cane went forward and the Gator went backwards. And, that starts in the first quarter. You start leaning on them by the third quarter. It is just, they've had enough. They tapped out. The quarterback pleased with the concussion. It was that physical domination that Mario's been talking about for years. We got to be tougher, and frankly, it's been criticized a little bit for it because focus on toughness, versus is something that a lot of our fans are like, well, no, let's wing the ball all over the place, and this is why you focus on toughness. You've got to win up front. The best programs, the ones that compete year in, year out, do it up front. And yeah, it's great to see the Canes getting there. We'll end the segment with a little bit of a Florida talk and where they are, but for the Canes, you can clearly see they physically dominated the team of, whatever Florida's talent deficit is, and it's certainly real. The Canes still took control and physically just won up front, won on the second level too. A lot of good tackling, running through tackles from the running backs, and it was, running goal line running was a big thing too, and the Canes were able to do that as well, which is, again, it's not you score touchdowns instead of field goals, you win a lot of more games, and so I think that physicality is something that's going to carry through. And you know what? This is one of the more, you would think, physically talented teams that Canes have to play, and it was a complete mismatch. Number 3, early in the game, here's our 3. Early in the game, Ruben Bain goes down, and obviously we're concerned. He apparently will be back. It's going to be a long-term deal. He'll be fine. He has got time to rest too, with the schedule easing a bit coming up. Again, there were concerns there, but man, Tyler Barron, what a performance and what a player. We kind of knew what he was supposed to be, but until you see them on the field, it's hard to fully judge. He was everywhere, just dominant performance, physical in the backfield, constantly disruptive, and smart too. And that's the thing, right? Because you can have all the physical attributes. If you put that energy into the wrong direction, it's not going to take you anywhere. He was a bull out there, and is a game-changing player. When you start thinking about, okay, we're going to get Ruben Bain back, you put them opposite each other. That is just unbelievably scary for opponents, and a great look ahead for the Canes here. And we talked about the talent upgrade a lot this offseason. these are different levels of talent than we've had here in a long, long time. And I think you can see the difference like that. It wasn't just one or two disruptive plays. It was constant. By the second half, it's like, just watch 9. You don't have to watch the rest of the team. Just watch 9. You're going to see something happen. That level of domination is something that is different. It's a different level. You take to that level, your close games become not close games. And that's how you string together these great seasons versus maybe a great one-off performance. And just the talent oozing out of this team, and again, the upgrade, and you get someone like Tyler Barron in here and just put him into a role that he fits perfectly into. And you saw that they could not block him. He was all over the quarterback. He was all over the running back. Just an elite performance from him. Great performance and great way to start his Canes career here. And then the fourth thing, all right, so this goes to coaching. Number 4 here. There it is. So, our coaching staff gets criticized quite a bit for all sorts of things. I think coming into this year, the common refrain was, well, they're going to have to overcome Mario and the coaching staff, and can Dawson do this, and can Guidry do that, and I wrote about this, and actually the title of what I wrote, it's on the 5 Reasons Sports website, if you want to check it out, is Mario's not the Canes question, he's the answer. And that question was answered emphatically on Saturday. But what I want to focus on specifically in the realm of coaching, because obviously he's built the program in multiple years to the point where they were physically just overmatching Florida. But how sharp was this team? This is a team that prepared, that came out again with that attitude of we're just going to kill them. But then such great execution. I'm going to talk about Cam Ward to close this off. He was making all the throws, but, they weren't all right in the chest. Just great hands from all of our receiving group and tight ends. If the ball was in the vicinity, they were making the catch. And then the tackling, as I mentioned earlier, not a lot of missed tackles. There was kind of one defensive bust, and that's it. Like, this is the sharpest we've seen the Canes play in a long time. And to do that in the first game, do that on the road, do that coming out of Oklahoma training camp when typically in the first game you see some jitter, some lack of sharpness. This team was mentally prepared to play. They were sharp. They looked in mid-season form from game 1, and that's a testament to great coaching. You prepared to do that over the course of the spring and the summer. And the way that they were able to incorporate all these new pieces, and look what they played together for years. Everything was crisp. Unbelievable job by the coaches. This is an A+ coaching job. There's no doubt about it, just from start to finish. Everyone was calm, collected, ready to play, sharp, hit execution was off the charts. And doing that in the first game, doing that on the road, is very, very difficult. And only the top coaches can actually prepare teams to come out there in the first game and play like that. And that's what this staff did. So, I think we kind of got to shift this narrative away a little bit. This is, again, something I wrote about. This coaching staff is a net positive. It's not a net negative. And that everyone can continue to point them out. Well, they're going to screw it up. They're not going to screw it up. They're the reason it's going to be good. And you saw that on Saturday. Which leads me to my 5th and final point on Take 5 here, 5 Reasons Sports Network. What else is there to say about Cam Ward that hasn't been said? What a player. He was making all the throws. A lot of them you would say, like, hey, he should be making that throw off balance across his body. He threw the one interception on that. But other than that, he's able to get the ball out at every arm angle. He's decisive. He's confident. And the ball goes where it needs to. And like I said previously, in terms of that sharpness, some of these throws that he's making that were slightly off target, where, X made a great grab on one, Elijah Arroyo did on another one, we kind of had to reach back and grab it. Those throws, most quarterbacks can't get within 10 yards of the receiver and would just throw the ball away. But he's making the play because the receiver's there, and that's how you move the ball. And, obviously the coaches trust him to do that, to just read the game, and he's capable of doing that. It's a sea change from what we've seen in the past here, frankly, in terms of just someone that can read the game, get the ball out, knows exactly what they're doing, and is able to just throw everything out there. And I think what we saw here was someone completely in control, picking his spots to run, picking his spots to get the ball out, picking spots to buy time in the pocket by backing away from pressure, knowing he can get the ball, throw it away if he has to, or dump it off, and just someone in complete control and command of an offense that can make all the throws is special, and that's what we have here. And it's not just that he has that; it's that the whole team knows he has that, which again is very different. The whole team knows, hey, this guy will lead us forward. Like we're fine as long as he's the quarterback. We're fine, and so. We kind of saw that manifest a little bit at the end of the first half when UF had the one basically offensive play they made before garbage time, and Canes immediately came back down, scored, and there was no panic or anything. Cam Ward is here now. You don't need to panic. He's got this. And I think we saw that just throughout the game right from the beginning. Like there was no reason the crowd's going to affect them. There was no reason nerves are going to affect them because Cam Ward is here now. And as much as his stats jumped off and the throws he was making, in particular, the one to Jacoby in the back of the end zone, you're like, whoa. The physical talent's there, but it's the mental talent, it's the skill, it's the leadership that's going to take this team to another level. We'll see where this season ends, but where it's begun is, anything short of winning the ACC at this point. It's a disappointment, but I said that coming into the year. The team to go 12-0 was laughed at. Well, still got 11 more to get to Charlotte, but as far as the overall game, I mean, what more could you ask for there? There's some stuff to clean up because, I'll talk about them in a second, but, you're going to play better teams down the road. But overall, really great performance to start the season on. Just a few things here and there to get better at. And other than that, yeah, just a fantastic opening win for the Canes. And as for the Gators, we saw this coming, and actually before the game I said, when people were nervous, like, it's going to be close, how are they going to win the swamp? I said, look, if the Canes lose this game, it's not because UF is all of a sudden good. It's because the Canes stink, because UF is not a good football team. And, the Canes did what good football teams do, which is went out there and showed it from the beginning to the end, but, UF's down bad. They'll be dealing with new coaches next year and trying to rebuild. But it still is a somewhat challenging environment to play in, and the Canes handle it really well. So even though UF is not a good football team, it doesn't really matter. It's what you do when you're good. Like this is what Georgia's and the Alabamas do. They go to middle of the road opponents and they blow them out, and that's exactly what the Canes did. So. Great job by the coaching staff, great job by the players getting mentally and physically prepared to just go out there and dominate, and they did it. They saw an overmatched opponent and they stepped on them and never let up, and that's what great teams do. So the Canes go to 1-0 with a big and easy win over the Gators. Take on FAMU on Saturday at The Rock, 6 p.m. Stay tuned to this network. Six Rings Cane Show at 8:30 p.m. Monday. Also, Buckets should be Wednesday. We're still efforting that to see if we can get a guest on that. That's our hoops coverage, but make sure you keep it locked to all of our shows. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast. We get everything audio-based. But, so 6 Rings Canes tonight, 8:30. Buckets, Canes on Deck. We do baseball. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Get all of our content, and go Canes.